I want you to watch this clip of Mosab Hasan Yousef and the apostate prophet breaking down a core Islamic concept that the Messiah will not come until, be basically rule over the Jews and the Christians and take over Israel. Check out this clip.
I want to bring up something that I think is very important and that I think is missing from most of the conversation around this entire conflict. And you know it very well. I grew up being told, and I'm sure you did too, that in the possible near future, as Prophet Muhammad said, we Muslims will fight the Jews, and we Muslims will kill the Jews until the Jews hide themselves behind a rock or a tree, and a rock or a tree will say, "O Muslim, servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Except for the Karkat tree, which is the tree of the Jews. I heard this when I was a little child. I went to my friends in Germany, growing up as a Muslim kid in Germany, telling my friends about it and seeing them shocked. And I didn't understand at that point how messed up that was. I'm pretty sure that you heard that as well from early childhood. And so do other people growing up where you grew up, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, the hadith, لا تقوم الساعة حتى, meaning the end time will not come until the Muslims kill the Jews. So this is a condition for the Muslims to get to the point where the judgment day means that the end of this life as we know it, and then it would be the beginning of the kingdom of their heaven, where Allah is going to be sitting on a throne and He's going to decide who's going to hell and who's going to heaven. And of course, the Muslims, the true Muslims, are going to heaven, and all the non-Muslims are going to be doomed in eternal fire. In order for the Muslims to get to that point, they must kill the Jews first. This is a duty on behalf of Allah. So this is very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous, and it's in the most trusted Islamic source. But it's not only in the Hadith. It's also in the Quran.
And it's also in the Hamas Charter. And it has been part of the conflict the entire time. I know that the so-called reasonable Fatah, for example, in Judea and Samaria, or also known as the West Bank, they have been preaching this hadith to Muslims in the mosque. Just a few weeks after October 7, 2023, they had it during their Friday prayer. The imams were instructed to tell the people this hadith again, and that this will come true regardless of what happens now. So what's very, very upsetting to me, honestly, is you and I both know that there is a very, very messed up and very deep Jew hatred that is deeply entrenched in the religion, and that is possibly the main reason for this entire conflict. But people don't realize it. Even in Israel, when I went to Israel, it looked to me as if most Israelis don't see and don't agree that Islam is the problem, which is so weird, because I grew up my entire life learning that Israelis are demons and the worst people and that we have to kill them and so on. And there are Israelis saying, "Oh no, Islam is not the problem." Why do you think this is?
It's hard to believe, because other religions judge Islam and weigh Islam based on their belief systems. And since Islam was established in the 7th century Arabia, and the Quran is written in classic Arabic, which in fact most Muslims don't understand when they read it, you must understand the eloquence of the classic Arabic. It's a very sophisticated language. It's poetic. And in order to study classic Arabic, you have to spend many, many years. And even if you do that, you may not understand the Quran completely, even though the Quran is being chanted 5 times a day through loudspeakers throughout the Muslim world, and Muslims repeat it as parrots without understanding what it's actually saying. So how can I expect from other religions to actually understand? By the way, this was one of the main problems that I had. Why the majority of humanity was doomed to Allah's hell, and the only way for them to towards salvation, that they need to actually understand Arabic, classic Arabic, in order to understand the language or to decode the language of the divine.
I think part of it is also suicidal empathy. God's Saw talks about this all the time, despite the fact that perhaps people understand that Islam is pretty, dangerous because of all these terrorist attacks. They're like, well, we have to empathize with them. It's obviously maybe our fault that they're like this because it's the West's colonialism that has made them like this. It's the bombing that we do. No, it's not that. Constant Kissin brings this up all the time. God's Saw brings this up all the time. It's fundamental to their belief system. And when you say, yeah, it's an ideology and you can't destroy it, just like people say, oh, Israel can't destroy Hamas, it's an ideology. Yeah, 100%. And it's an ideology, meaning they all believe it. And so there really is not much of a distinction between, the jihadists and the Islamists and the conservative Muslims. They're all sort of entrenched in this idea that if they do, these terrible acts to the Jews and they conquer Jerusalem and they do all these things, the Messiah will come. That's a big problem, needs to be reckoned with, and the West is next. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Also, subscribe to Apostate Prophet's channel. He's incredible, highlighting some of the very dark aspects of Islam itself. Thank you, and have a good one.